Why don't you guys repeat to me? I am here today because someone chose life. Say it again. I am here today because someone chose life. Okay, today's topic that I'm going to be talking to you guys about, I'm going to be talking about abortion. A lot of the things that I'm probably going to say you've probably heard, but it's it's a topic that's very, very common in the United States today. And before I get started, let me give you the definition of what an abortion is. An abortion is, I believe I put that in your outlines. So, yes, I did. Okay, it's in your outlines. Okay, the definition of abortion is the deliberate, that means your option, premature ending of a pregnancy by medical means with the intended result being the death of the unborn baby. Okay, that's an abortion, the official definition. Okay, and let me start off with a few statistics. Before I tell you what God says about abortion and all this, let me start off with some information about abortion. Some of you guys might know this stuff if you've ever written an essay or a paper on this topic. Has anyone ever done that? I did that in high school, I think, once. Okay, so you might have heard some of these. Abortion has been legal since 1973. Okay, abortion got legalized in the United States in 1973. Since 1973, approximately 25 million abortions have been performed. That's roughly 1.5 million a year, 4,500 abortions a day, 180 per hour, 3 per minute, and 1 every 20 seconds. Someone aborts a baby. Okay, compare that 25 million with the fact that the total American casualties in all the wars put together, that's including Revolutionary War, War of the 1812, the Civil War, the Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War, is just 2.5 million deaths. That's 10 abortions for every wartime casualty. That means that there has been more deaths through abortion than there has in all the wars that the U.S. has been put together. In fact, for every one person that died in each one of those wars, there was 10 abortions. Okay, that's the statistic that we have. At least half of American women will experience an unintended pregnancy by the age of 45, and at current rates, nearly 1/3 will have an abortion. 1/3 of all women. 37% of women obtaining abortion identify themselves as Protestant. That means in Christianity. 37% of them are in Christianity. 28% are Catholics. Okay, of all abortions. On average, women gives at least 3 reasons for choosing abortion. There's 3 main reasons that people choose abortion, okay? The first one, it says 3 out of 4 women say that having a baby would interfere with work, school, or other responsibilities. Okay? 3 out of 4 women say that they cannot afford a child. And 1 out of every 2 women say they do not want to be a single parent or are having problems with their husband or partner. Right? There's I know that, how many of us would absolutely say no, abortion, no for abortion? How many of you guys? How many of you guys have ever been in a situation where you've had the option, or someone near you has had the option of having an abortion because they're pregnant, there's difficulties, there's careers, there's stuff involved, and the truth of the matter is that babies do make it a little bit more harder for you to overcome, to do what you have planned to do with your life. So, 40% of minors having an abortion report that neither or their parents knew about their abortion. 40% of all minors have an abortion without their parents knowing, right? Isn't that crazy? Like, you think about it, most of you guys can't even go to a rated R movie. You guys can't buy cigars, alcohol, but you could go have a medical operation without the consent of your parents. You know, isn't that, I mean, I don't know if that breaks your heart, but it makes me want to cry right now. You know, That should be heartbreaking. I mean, because you guys may be thinking about yourselves, but think about your kids. Think about your little brothers, your sisters, the things that they're going to have to deal with. Okay, so 40% of them. In 2005, California was rated the #1 state. The #1 out of 51 states, it was the #1. The state that had the most abortions in the U.S. Okay, so abortion is a big deal. Abortion it's happening, and it continues to happen. Now, and see, at some point in your life, you're going to either encounter someone or you're going to have to make a decision on whether, you're going to abort or not. Everyone has to make the decision, even if you're married, And obviously, some of us don't even contemplate it if they're married. But at some point, this is going to affect you because either someone you know or someone close to you or someone that you've seen is going to either do this or contemplate this. Okay, there's 4 groups. See, there's 4 groups in this room about that divide themselves in this area of abortion. The first group is this. You could believe that abortion is just morally wrong. It's just completely wrong. You can believe that abortion, you know what? It's not something it's just wrong. It's the killing of human beings. I mean, there's been more deaths in abortion than there was in all the wars put together. In fact, I think that we're the ones that are killing ourselves more than other countries killing us. Some people just believe that it's morally wrong. It's not acceptable. It's against human nature. The second type of people are undecided. They still haven't chosen. They're still, I don't know, maybe not. The third type are pro-choice, where you have the option. Or is that like, well, it's the woman's body, right? Let me do what I want with my body. Okay, giving no option to the unborn child. The fourth type of person is those type of girls that have had an abortion already. And being knowing that there's 4 that you're going to believe in either one of these 4 or you've already gone through an abortion, knowing this, I want to talk to you about what God says of abortion. I don't really want to give so much about my opinion. I don't really want to tell you that what I believe, if it's right or wrong, or if it's you should even be accepted in heaven if you don't. No, I want to tell you what God says. I want you to understand how sensible this area is to God's heart. How much God cares, not only about the unborn child, but also about the woman. Because let me tell you, if you speak, I remember when I did this report, you would have to speak to women who have done abortions, and no one comes out of it just like completely happy. It's always an emotional mess for the female. It's always a constant psychological struggle. Because a lot of times you may think that abortion is the solution, but many times it just brings more and more problems. Okay, so regardless of what you believe on abortion, if you think it's acceptable or not, let me just read something to you. Let me take out my sweater because I got a little hot. Let me read something to you. It says here, the big question is an unborn child really human? That's the big question against the people who debate, is that, it's not born yet, so it's not a human, so it's not really murder and all this. Well, let me tell you what's going on if you don't know in the female's womb, okay? If you don't know. Consider this. From the moment of conception, the baby has an individual identity. The baby has its own set of genes and chromosomes. Before implantation, the baby's sex has been determined. At 19 days after conception, the eyes begin to develop. At 24 days, the heart begins beating. At 30 days, the unborn baby is only 1/4 of an inch long, and yet has a brain, eyes, ears, mouth, kidneys, and liver. At 35 days, his fingers have formed. At 40 days, brain waves can be detected and recorded. In the 7th week after conception, the baby begins to move spontaneously. In the 10th week, the baby squints, swallows, and hiccups. He has fingerprints, which will stay with him for the rest of his life. In the 12th week, the baby responds to touch and begins to suck his thumb. By the 4th month, his ears are functioning. He can hear his mother. He can hear his mother and hear and taste and touch. He recognizes his mother's voice when he hears it. By the 9th month, the baby weighs between 6 and 9 pounds. His heart pumps 300 gallons of blood per day. He is fully capable of life outside the womb, if only he gets the chance. See, that's practically what's going on when as soon as this happens, when the baby is inside. Now, having this in mind, having your position wherever you stand on this in mind, let me tell you what God believes on abortion. Okay, let me tell you, not so much on abortion. See, God's not gonna say, He's not gonna condemn anyone. He's just gonna tell us what he thinks about life. Okay, this is what God says. The first thing God says is the following. Okay. God says that He gave life, that God gave you and gave me life. Understand that, okay? That the male and the female, they're just working with God in forming their instruments that God uses to create your life. Do you understand that? It's like the big machines, for example, well, I'll just use cars. The big machines that maybe the Honda dealer uses or these big companies use to create the cars. I mean, the people who created these things are the human beings that created the machines, correct? Right? And those machines just continue to reproduce that. In the same way, you and I, we're just instruments that God uses to create life. Look at what Genesis 2:7 says. The Lord God formed the man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. Look, this is very important because a lot of times we think that because it's our body and we can choose to do what we want to do with it. No. See, that's not it. You need to understand that God says that you are His creation. And because you are His creation and He is the creator, that means that that we have to submit to what His will is. That means that He's the one who chooses when our time to go, when our time to die, when our time to come to life is. Because He is the creator. He is the one who gives us life. Okay, look at the second thing God says. After knowing that God is the one who gives us life, you need to understand that He created you in the womb. Understand this, that God didn't say, well, He doesn't exist until after the 9 months. Oh, He popped out. Oh, okay, now He exists. Let me create a plan for Him. You got to understand that the same words that God told, well, let's look at Psalms 139, 13 and 16. It says, for you created me in my inmost being. You knit me together. It says, you knit me together in my mother's womb. Where? Where? Do you get that? That God started His work in your life. Understand this. God started His work in your life and in my life since the time that we were in our mother's belly. So in my mother's womb, I praise You because I am fearfully and wonderfully. For those of you who think you're cute, you're not cute because of yourself or how you dress yourself. God made you like that. Okay? If you're not too cute, there's an inner beauty inside. Okay, but understand this, that God made you wonderfully. He created you. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place. When I was woven together in the depths of the earth, your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. Understand this, that before you even had a day, God already had a plan. And it's the same thing with this idea of abortion, that in God's eyes, these unborn babies, they don't come to be. They're not an accident to Him. They're not something that it's not God's blooper or anything like that. In fact, before the babies were even conceived, before the parents or the two people came together, God had already started and God had already began the plan in their life. You know, the sad thing is this, that because of people's free will,